anticipated by the discouraging and misleading information that were peddled in an interview with Standard newspaper by the Chief Executive Officer of Brikama Council, Mr. 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏. Now, the allegations, we felt as a council that these allegations should be responded, because the public deserves to know the whole truth, and they deserve to know nothing but the truth. And there are a lot of allegations that are made. Yes, you can understand if council taking a decisive action against anybody, which would in consequence would amount to them losing their job, you expect them to react in an adverse way, but you do not expect them to deter or disconnect that reaction from the truth. You expect them to tell the truth at all costs, because only truth shall set them free and set everyone free. So the CEO has made a lot of disparaging remarks on issues that he said that is what the council had engaged in. Some of them, he said, are in contravention with the law, and he cited some sections and some of the paragraphs from both the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Finance and Audit Act 2004, and the Financial and Accounting Manual for Local Government Authorities 2009. So we'll go through the points one by one, and we will make reference to the allegations he made in the standard interview and try to respond to them befittingly, because that is very important. As I said, truth shall set anyone who is the proponent of it free. And that is what we hope would happen here. So, Mr. Jumbo may be entitled to react in any way that he wants to, but he is not entitled to mislead the public. That is very, very wrong. And that is exactly what he has done. So we start with what he claimed. He said the chairman had authorized payment of the sum of 148,000 as a honorarium payment for compliance officers. He said this does not fall within the current approved budget estimate. That's what he said. It does not fall within the current budget estimate, and therefore we are in violation of section 31 of the Local Government Finance and Audit Act 2004, and paragraph 4. He said section, but it's paragraph because it's not legislation. Paragraph 504 of the Financial and Accounting Manual for Local Government. So paragraph 4 is about control of expenditure. That is the guidance given in the manual. And paragraph 4 is talking about budget lines, so you do not spend beyond your budget line. And that is in the Finance and Audit Act 2004. So the allegation is that this is not budgeted. So we have the approved budget that was sent. This is a communique to the ministry from the CEO himself. And this was on the 8th of December 2022. And he was telling the minister about the approved budget of BAC for 2023. He said there was no accommodation of honorarium payment in the budget. But the reality is that that is not true. There's already been an allocation of 200,000 for honorarium payment. And that is here, yes. That is already here. We will provide that to you. But that is there. 200,000 has been allocated as honorarium payment for 2023. he said we paid 148,000. That means we still have 52,000 remaining as a balance on the budget. So that is blatant false. And this is deliberate too, because the CEO is also the custodian of all council documents. So he is in custody of these documents. He knows what these documents say, and he should have made reference to it when he is going to rely on it as evidence to throw aspersions against people, especially the council. So he should have checked to see whether there had been any budget allocation for honorarium payment. And if he had done that, he would have seen that that is in fact the case, and that honorarium payment has not been exhausted. So, in essence, that is not true. That is misleading the public. And if you look at the reason why this council taken action against the CEO and made recommendation for him to be removed from there, one of the issues that we lamented in our resolution is that he has been misleading this council on several occasions. So it is unfortunate that he did not limit that misleading to just this council, but now wants to go and mislead the whole Gambian public about his own actions and his conduct and what he has been doing at BAC. So we, as a council, it is our duty to come out and let the public know that that is a false information. To say that there is no budget line for such. There is a budget line for it. And not only that, he mentioned paragraph 504 of the financial manual. If only he had gone a little bit back to paragraph 304, he would have realized that he is CEO in himself, through General Council approval, can do violence. What that means is, if something that is of this import, because you know, compliance officers are very, very important. We were struggling to get even 50,000 from our market collectors on a weekly basis, 50,000, 60,000 from them, on a weekly basis. When we engage compliance officers to go in the field with them, we are scoring as much as 189,000 in a week. That's a huge difference for a council that usually limits. In fact, there's a language in this council. It's one of our council talents. We call it limping period. That when we get to October, November, December, we limp as a council because we don't have enough revenue, and therefore we don't usually have money to pay staff. And we will come to that because he made reference to taking loans from the RO in order for them to be able to pay salaries for November 2022. So, the CEO, if only, and this is one of the things we stated in our resolution, that he is incompetent. And I think that is what he had proven here. Because if he is competent and understands the financial manual that he made reference of, he should have known what he ought to know, that there is an option of violence available to him and the council whenever we are exhausting whatever that is in our budget. So if your honorarium allocation is going down, you can look for other allocations that you've made under the same heading. So we are talking about recurring here. Under recurring. So you look under recurring. What other allocations have we made that which we have not used? To start with, in that budget, we have allocation of 100,000 for miscellaneous. That can mean anything. And that has not been used. They allocated 500,000 for uniform. I haven't seen any uniform that has been given to even the security or the police in the whole of this year. They have not been issued with one uniform. So that means that 500,000 is not used. So you have compliance officers. These are used. That which, as a council, we are creating job opportunity for them. And contrary to what he would want others to believe, these are recommended use from the councillors. But we ask councillors to provide at least three volunteers to help us to become compliance officers and be able to make sure we maximize our revenue and we stop leakage of our revenue. We stop people pilfering our revenue from us. And they've done a very good job. They are really doing a great job. So, and when they started it, literally some of them have to travel to 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏 And they will spend the whole day following the collectors, just to make sure that the collectors do not cheat and defraud the council. Now, we are giving them a total of, say, 3,000 at the end of the month. Jonga, who said he'd spend the whole of his career dedicated to West Coast region, isn't that something that he should be proud of, take pride in? That he has been able to create job opportunity for at least 49 youths? But let me tell you what has been happening and why unkind people like him do not understand about creating opportunities for people. They have their own taboos. He is more than happy signing letters for Mr. Deng and the rest of Deng's families to be employed in this council. But everybody else who has a little opportunity here is something that he hates and loathes very much. And this is a council that belongs to the people of West Coast. So many of our kids, just last week or last month, we lost as a region over 50 people through the back way. We're trying to create jobs for them, an opportunity, hope for them here. Who better leads that than the council? They are local council in this region. For you, when you have an issue because you're being pushed aside for your own conduct, the people you want to fight is that of 49 young people who are trying to make a career, have a stepping stone of a career ladder in their life. Those are your problems. That is what he is complaining about. So he made reference to, he said, this is in contravention of section 13. Cannot be, because it's already allocated. There is a budget line for honorarium payment which is not exhausted. It's 200,000. If it is exhausted, he needs to come out and tell us what was spent as honorarium payment, which exhausted it. How did this happen? How much money? They can come out clean and tell the whole region about all of that. But they come out and say it's not allocated. That is just a lie. It's in the budget. And we can provide that to any media house that is interested in having that fact. Because the facts are here. They don't lie. And they come from he himself. So that is the first point. And the second point, he mentioned contract committee. He said, General Council spearheaded by the chairman override the contract committee's request for more time to diligently scrutinize proposal to introduce digital administration. This too is complete, utter false. No idea of truth in it. What he failed, you see, the man is very funny. In the beginning, he wants to cite and rely and make reference to legal provisions to support his argument. Where the legal provisions don't support his argument, he made no reference to that. This is the whole fact. Because contract committee is a subcommittee of the General Council, just like every other committees that we have. The law under section 34, 8 and 9 of the Local Government Act clearly stated, and I will read these for people to hear it. It says that the Council may, subject to the provisions of this Act, delegate such of its functions to a committee as it deems fit. Just like in this case. Council said, contract committee, go and check this contract for us, and then come back with your recommendations. But the final decision is the council. But subsection 9 went further. It says, the delegation of any function of council to a committee shall not prevent the council from exercising those functions. That is very clear. If you delegate it to any subcommittee, it doesn't prevent and shall not prevent you, the council, from making that decision that you ask that committee to do. So, our good, very good lawyer CEO, who made reference and relied on section 13 and paragraph 5 and 4, in the first part of his aspersions, decided to omit the provisions of the law that dealt with this particular issue, and that was pointed to him in the council. But he decided to omit that because simply that doesn't favor his narrative. He wants, the whole idea of this is put out a narrative that makes the council look bad and let the public fall for it, despite the fact that it is falsehood. I am misleading them, but I couldn't care as long as it is my narrative that sticks. This is his whole objective here, and we will elucidate on that, and I believe the public will see his dubiousness, and as a reason, one of the main reasons why he is not fit to be a CEO for a very big region like West Coast, and one reason why we have not been able to register any meaningful development for the last many years that this man has been a CEO in this region. So, council acted within its powers to say, we've heard 3 different people that came here and gave us this digital platform, and we decided that that particular company, they were the best deal for us. They had 3 million, the rest are 8 million and other millions plus. And they were going to create an onboarding system for us, which they introduced to us, that the other people didn't even know. We had to tell them, well, hold on here, that is what we want. Because we had a digital platform here, and that digital platform didn't take us any further because we did not have to create existing data. But we had a company that says that they can go on board, and this company introduced us to that one, and we know that can be done, and that's exactly where our problem is, and we want to solve that problem. So the council acted within its powers, as I made reference to 34, section 34, 8 and 9, subsection 8 and 9 of the Local Government Act 2002. So my advice to the estranged CEO is, if you want to be a lawyer, you go to law school. Don't start quoting off head. That's not how the law works. So he then mentioned about loans. That is also one of his allegations. He said, he further alleged that on 27 July 2023, the General Council, headed by the Chairman, passed a unanimous resolution for a loan policy for only council members, thereby not considered in the staff of council. This is also very big misleading statement. This is a document from BAC's loan policy that exists here. In that policy, CEO 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏 has taken a loan of $500,000. He is paying as at the 25th of July 2023. He paid only, he's paying $3,726.32 every month. And he has a balance of $493,050 for 1 month. If there was no such loan policy for the staff, how did he manage to get hold of this money? Did he steal it? But in the document it says loans, BAC loan, apply, repay. That document is also here. It has a list of all the staff who are taking loans, and at the moment, staff have taken a loan at the tune of $3,482,691. That is the loan outstanding from our staff. No councillor is part of that loan scheme. They cannot apply. It doesn't apply to them. They cannot do any sort. If councillors want a loan or anything of that sort, they would either go to the banks or they borrow it from friends. That was the reason why a loan policy also has a lot of caveats. It has a lot of conditions to be met. First is that the CEO and the finance director have to confirm that they have the funds to give out that loan. And the loan is not more than $100,000. And they can only take $100,000 in the first year of their term as council. In the second year, they cannot take $100,000, they can only take $75,000. And they will have to be paying this because it's automatically deducted from their allowances. So the final year, they can only take $15,000. All of that safeguards are taken because we want to make sure that they are able to pay and council doesn't lose out on the money. That is the loan scheme. He has $500,000 that he's taken as a loan. He's complaining about councillors who do not have that. But that tells you the sort of CEO we have. You know, he doesn't want, prior to that, councillors never had anything. But he is complaining about councillors having that. You see what I mean? Even that loan, hardly councillors have applied, but they've never got anything. Because when they apply, he said there is no fund. But that is one of the conditions. It says he has to approve that he and Director of Finance have to prove that there is sufficient fund to pay. If the sufficient fund is not there, councillors just accept that there is no fund for me to get. So they cannot get that loan, they don't have access to it. But he and his staff, they just give themselves whatever loan they want. See what I mean? They give themselves, because that should have been, normally they should have a loans committee that should look into this. But the CEO arrogated all that power to himself. See, we call Jonga the alpha and omega of BAC. He was like the chairman, the CEO, the director, the everything. HR manager, everything. He knows literally everything of BAC. The staffs are terrorized by him. You ask a staff, can you go and do this? Like a chairman says, hey, somebody said that they have a waste or illegal dumping at their site. Can you go and clear it? Have you spoken to the CEO? That's the response you get. And I'm like, hold on a minute. Is CEO my boss or I am his boss? And they'll be like, well, I don't know. I said, I am his boss. I don't go and ask him. Tell him to confirm it with me. I'll tell him I asked you to do it. But that is how BAC has been run. So the CEO was having a chairman here who wasn't fit to be a chairman for, I don't know what to say, he cancelled here. So as a result, the CEO does everything that he wants. So the next allegation he made, he said interference in staff matters. That is the other allegation he said. He said, the chairman, since sworn in office, has made multiple attempts to interfere in staff matters such as in redeployment and recruitment without due process contrary to his functions, duties as stipulated under Section 15(1)(2)(3). You know, the CEO, he has the old version of this one, which says that, because he has told me several times, he said, your role as the chairman is to supervise the general administration of the area. Not even the council, but the general administration of the area. That's how he likes to put it. But you have to understand that there was an amendment done to this act in 2006 that on the 2B clearly stated that the chairman shall be the head of the council and supervise the general administration of the area, including dealing with its rules, regulations, and taxes. But not only that, going further, you see, you don't read law in parts, you read it holistically. When it goes to his CEO's own function, the law said to the CEO, the chairman, the law now declares, is the head of council. Yeah? Together with the councillors, they are council itself. But the law also went and said to the CEO, your function is, you are answerable to the council, and you shall report to the chairman. And not only that, he said, you are under their direction and control. So, if someone claims he is the one that is responsible for the staff, and he is the one, he said, I have the exclusive right of staff matters. But you are under my direction and control, and you are reporting to me, you are answerable to us. How can you say that we cannot direct those staffs or direct you and all of those staffs to do what we want you to do. But it boils down to what I said. He's incompetent. He doesn't even know his TOR. If you do not know your TOR, you then make conflict of issues when there is no need for such. If you're controlled by me, your directions and everything are controlled by us. You and your staff, whatever you do, you need to come to us. In fact, your role is to implement decisions that we make. If you're implementing those decisions and it's not done right way, who better knows that policy than the one that makes it? And you say that person cannot interfere into the staff matter because you have the exclusive rights. But he fails to understand that he, as the CEO, because the council, the way the organograph works, he CEO runs the admin side and comes directly to the chairman. Audit doesn't come to the CEO. They run admin side, they run the audit team, and they go straight to the chairman. Police and the Commissioner of Police runs from this side all the way up to the chairman. So, staffs under him, collectors. If they want to go with the security, who do you talk to and take permission from? It's the chairman. The chairman has to take the police commissioner because that person doesn't report to you. He's directly under the chairman. You and them are on the same level. So if you want one thing communicated here and there, it happens. The head is up there. It's like telling the president of a country, you cannot tell staffs what they need to do. Because the PMO is responsible for the staff, or the Secretary General is responsible for the staff. But the Secretary General is under the president. You see, that's how the structure works. But when you have an incompetent CEO, it's very difficult for him to comprehend it. And you literally have to school him every day for him to understand it, but it's very difficult. And for him, he totally controlled all the stuff as he was doing. Because then he was stepping in too many shoes. He was both CEO, he was both the chairman, he was doing everything. He commanded the police commissioners on what to do. He tells the audit what they need to do. Literally, he was running everything. But despite having that monopoly over everything, the people of West Coast have not seen anything for it. That is the situation. So, that allegation is baseless. We are not interfering with staff. We are trying to make our staff a lot more productive for the best interest of our people, because they are the ones that we are accountable. This is how it works. We are accountable to the people who elected us. They are accountable to us. That's how it has to work. Because if they're not accountable to us, how do we make the system work? How do we make the council to become a service delivery for our people? The people who are supposed to deliver the service are under someone else's control. It cannot work like that. So we are accountable to the people. If people want anything, they come to us. We tell them, go and do this for our people. That's how it's supposed to work. If it doesn't work like that, then there will be a break or disconnect in the chain, and that will not work. So he doesn't understand that, and he needs to be taught about it. So we are teaching him. If you're watching, and I know he's watching, this is a lesson for him. Listen to that, you know. So he also said verbal contract. See, he doesn't understand. Contracts everywhere in the world are normally established through written or oral. In fact, 99% of contracts that are entered in a day in any given society is done through oral agreement. If you go to a shop to buy something, you are entering into a contract. But that is not oral. So, what matters in any contract is when the people understand what the terms are. But this one, in fact, he is just lying about it, because this was not only oral contract. This is a written contract that Finistech came and signed for it, and then we went for this one. So this is the one that he also mentioned about Finistech. So he said in this contract, he said, Jonga accused the chairman of entering into a verbal contract with Finistech Construction Company to provide 2 vacuum tank trucks to drain flooded markets, secondary roads, and streets during the rainy season for the months of June, July, September, August, October, without the involvement of the contract committee. That is a later now. Contract committee sat over this thing. And Jama Governor is here. Jama is a councillor who is part of the contract committee. They started on this thing in June. And not only that, it also came to the General Council floor. Because this was a contract that nobody in the council could go against. We were in the rainy season. One of the biggest problems we always experience in Brikama is the flooding of our homes. And this year, we said that is not going to happen. And Jonker said 1 million, he said the contract is going to cost council 1,027,000. He wants the public to think that this is a huge lot of money. But you know what? In the budget, 6.5 million was budgeted this year for Jonker to get a septic tank. Where is the septic tank? It's nowhere to be seen. We came in June. This should have been acquired since January. It's budgeted, it's given to him. Get people of West Coast a septic tank. He decided not to have it. We came in and we found ourselves in a rainy season and there was no septic tank. But we know that there's a lot of money budgeted for it. We had 6.5 million. If we had a septic tank, what was it going to do in the rainy season? It was going to drain the market. It was going to drain the streets, exactly what he said this septic tank were supposed to do. But this was the cheapest deal because when we came in, the first day it rained. The first day I went into the fish market and saw that nasty water there. I paid almost 38,000, my own money, and I never claimed that money back from council. I paid that from my own money to drain that place. 38,000 just one day. Just one day. These septic tanks were draining those places for a whole week for 20,000 and 30,000, two of them, 50,000. For a whole week. When it rains, they will go and start with the mosque area, the cassava junction, and then they will go to the fish market when the market vendors have started going home. We did that, we were doing that on every day. Because when you are to take septic tanks, when you are to hire them, they charge us 3,500 per trip. These vehicles were doing almost 20 to 30 trips in a day. Two of them. One will do 15, the other will do 10 there, or they will do 15 or 16, sometimes even more. Sometimes they are here until very late in the evening. But even that was not enough. We wish we had our own septic tank. Because if we had our own septic tank, we would have gotten 2 or 3 teams. First team will go in the morning. When they finish work, second team comes in the afternoon. Another team comes in the evening. Then we would be able to clear a lot of other places. When we said septic tanks can do this job, many people thought that we were just bluffing. But when it started, in fact, the market people almost on a daily basis, the moment it rains, the first thing you get is market people calling you. Where are the septic tanks? We are flooded here. We need this water drained. Everybody got used to it. So the septic tanks would just go and drain everywhere. When you get into the market, you wouldn't think that it had even rained, but it did. In previous years, people have to live with those waters in the market for months and months, for the whole of the rainy season. This year we said we are not having it. And not only that, the septic tanks helped us to clean, police, the hospital, Union Barracks. These are their letters. All of them writing. This one is from the police. I write on behalf of the staff of Brikama Police Station to express our appreciation to you through Honorable Mane. They meant Honorable Jawa. Honorable Mane of Nyambad Ward for the assistance given by draining the subway in the station. On Saturday, the 8th of July, Honorable Mane dispatched a tank to empty the subway. This gesture came at a moment when we were wondering how to best solve the problem. Despite this intervention, the subway is still full. It's full again, suggesting that there is a fault somewhere in our plumbing and sewage system. Yet this is just one of several challenges facing our police station at the moment. With this issue in mind, I would like to invite you to visit our station to see the condition under which police personnel are compelled to work. This is from the SO of the police station telling us that. The military police, the request for military truck, for sanitary truck, for the Gambia Armed Forces Military Police Office at Union Barracks. The Office of the Chief of Defense Staff of Gambia Armed Forces presents a sincere compliment to the Chairman of BAC and have the honor to request for the above-mentioned subject for the Gambia Armed Forces. The list goes on. The paramilitary at Bufu, the hospital in Sibano, which I've never heard. They said the hospital was built since in the 70s, but their septic tanks have never been empty. Until this year, we're supposed to go and empty. That is the importance of septic tanks to us in this country and to the people of this region. So, Jonga said, we spent 1 million on septic tanks. I said, alas. Finally, we spent 1 million on the people of West Coast this year. Because we have not spent anything on them. What else have we spent this year on the people of West Coast? Nothing. From January to now, all the money has been spent on Jonga's travel, Sirifo's travel, Jenny's opulent lifestyle. Nothing else was spent on the people of West Coast. But at this time, they can say we had benefited $1 billion from our revenue, which was plowed back to us through the septic tanks. So this is something we're proud of. But we say, it is the misrepresentation for him to say that that was done through orally only. But even if it is done orally only, contracts are usually ended orally or written. And this was not done orally. This was done written. Written contract was given to Jonga himself. He still refused to sign his part. We don't know why. But he should sign it. Because, and those companies up to date have not been paid a penny. None of them have been paid a penny. But each day, I don't know whether you pass it, there is one that is standing outside there. If we need anywhere, we tell them go and clear that or drain that place. They will go and drain it. Go and drain it. In fact, council's own markets, we had to go and drain it. Okay, they are right now at the fish market, draining there. But that is service delivery. That's what councils are supposed to do. Nobody in West Coast can fault us for spending that money in draining our markets and mitigating the challenging lifestyle that our people have to endure during rainy seasons, in this rainy season. And next year, unlike what happened in the past, next year we hope to have our own septic tank, and I think it's budgeted. We hope to have our own septic tanks, not just one, but two of them, because we realize that that is very important. Just like garbage trucks, we cannot go without septic tanks. And these septic tanks were all part of this Senegal project. And this CEO, just as incompetent as he is, doesn't even know that that exists as part of that program. So he then went on to allowances. This is where it becomes even more interesting. The CEO said, on 13 July, under the leadership of the chairman, the General Council passed a unanimous resolution to increase its meeting allowances from 1,500 to 2,500 bi-weekly. The monthly allowance for the chairman is increased from 18,000 to 25,000. Deputy chairman from 9,500 to 20,000. You see how much that has leaped. From 9,500 to 20,000. He went on to say, councillors from 6,500 to 15,000. This is incredible. This is very, very sad. Because I have a letter here, and I will share this letter with you. This letter was written by CEO Jonga, and he sent this letter to the minister. But this is what he said in the letter. He said, I write to convey a second general resolution dated 22nd June 2023 on the increment of monthly allowances for the chairman, deputy chairman, councillors, and the monthly general council meetings for the Honorable Minister's consideration and approval. said in the said resolution, the General Council proposed the Council to pay 15,000, Deputy 20,000, Chairman 25,000, and then the sitting 2,500 from 1,500. He said the said resolution and proposed increment are herewith attached for your kind consideration. He went on to say, an earlier letter was sent to on the 16th of February 2022 for the Honorable Minister's approval on the same subject matter. Now you all heard what he said. He wrote that. An earlier letter was sent to your ministry on the 16th of February on the same subject matter. A copy of the previous correspondence is equally attached. That correspondence of 16 February is also here. And in that one he says, I'd like to convey to you the General Resolution dated 14 February 2023 for increment of councillors' allowance for the Honourable Minister's approval. The names of the councillors that signed the said resolution and the proposed increment are herewith attached for your kind attention. He then attacked the resolution. But you know what is funny about that one? It says, currently, this document that he himself sent this to the ministry, he said, monthly allowance for the chairman, for the councillors. He said, councillors, the current allowance, he's talking about February, he said the current allowance is 13,000. Proposed increment is 2,000 to make it 15,000. That's what his document says. Jonga himself wrote this and sent it to the ministry in February. But Jonga, in the interview with Standard, said, we increased it from 6,500 to 15,000. But at the time of his own letter, he said councillors were receiving 13,000, and there was only an increment of 2,000 from 13 to 15,000. And then he also said, citizen allowance. Exactly. It wasn't the current council, because we came in June. But Jonga wrote this in February to tell the ministry that this is the increment. But Jonga, when he was writing this, he wanted the whole world to see, yes, he's owing the councillors 10,000. Yes, the whole councillor, because he refused to pay them. So he said, yes, he said in this one, that it is the chairman who increased it from 6,500 to 15,000. What did he? But in February, when he was writing to the minister, he told the minister, councillors' current allowance is 13,000. And the proposed increment is 2,000 for it to be 15,000. He then said, civil allowance for the councillors was to move from, was at the time 1,500 and the increment of 1,000 to make it 2,500. He said, the vice chairman, remember what he said the vice chairman was at? He was at 9,500 and they want to increase it to 20,000. But in this letter, he said the vice deputy chairman is at 17,500 and an increment of 2,500 to make it 20,000. So you see how misleading number is to the public. But this is his own letter. And he is the custodian of council document. How come he forgot about his own letter that he wrote on the 27th of June and attacked this to the ministry? So he also went and he said, chairman's allowance at the time he said was 21,000 per month. And he said, increment of 4,000 to 25,000. So when he didn't hear, he said chairman's allowance jumped from 18,000 to 25,000. This is his own. So this is not something that we brought in. This was brought in by the previous council. Unresoluted, and it was said, but before that, the previous council budgeted this. This is already budgeted in 2023. The councillors, Lamsanya is here, Diba is here, they had to go to the ministry to defend this. The ministry approved it. It became our budget. Jonga sat on it, and you know, this is what was so annoying with Jonga. Jonga makes decisions, like I said, he's the alpha and omega of this institute. He makes decisions willy-nilly, anyhow he likes. And then it becomes final. So he started on this, he said he will not pay the councillors that amount of money. We said to him, hold on here. That works on the 𝒂𝒊𝒏 day, but this is my day. This will not work. And this council now, we're not taking it lightly. We'll pass a resolution. If you go against our resolution, we get rid of you. But you have to pay what is agreed and resoluted and it's gone. But to also make sure it becomes stronger, we said it's not going to be just chairman saying, all the councillors, let's vote. Every councillor voted for it because it's a resolution that has to be respected. And we cannot say because it was a resolution done by the previous council, we are not going to honor it. No. If the next council comes, they can also say about the same thing about our resolution and will not adhere to it. And that is bad. Council resolution, council is a continuity, just like the government. When we make decisions, they are supposed to have a binding effect on the next council. So we told them to increase it. But Jonga blatantly and deliberately had no say, no honor, no integrity. Wrote in the media, maybe he will come out and say, I did not tell that to stand up. They wrote it themselves. Because he wrote it here. He said we moved it from 6,500 to 15,000. But in his own letter to ministry, which he sees it to market, he's telling a different story. But that's the sort of person he is. It was so unfortunate for the people of West Coast to have a pathological liar as its CEO. And that's how it is. And now it is proven to the whole world that this is what has been happening. So he went on, the next allegation he made, and he said this was in complete contravention of Section 12 of the Local Government Act. We increase our own salaries, everything, you know. How can it be when the minister himself and the ministry approved the budget? And it is in the budget. That this is what it's supposed to be paid. But you know why we have to go after him is because at the same time when we came in, we realized that he was withholding these allowances. So you see what was happening is, the chairman still for 𝒂𝒏 when he was here, he was getting paid 18,000 while Jonga is paid 29,000. And the director of finance, who is the director, bottom one below everyone, he is paid almost 35,000. How is that even possible? When the chairman is supposed to be the head of the institution. But it tells you who are the most powerful people. Jen is more powerful. For obvious reasons, Jen has the whole of his plan and everybody who is from his leader in the council. The council become no longer Brikama area council, but Brikama Jen put that area council. So Jen is the most powerful, so he gets more pay. Jonga is the second most powerful, Jonga gets the second highest pay. And the chairman that was here, who doesn't even know his left, right, and center, he got paid whatever. So the next one was, he said revenue. He said the chairman through senior project, he went on to approve his own, they printed their own printing at the council when it's supposed to be done by GPPC. You see, funny enough, on this part, he didn't cite any law. He said there's a ministerial, whatever, executive directive from the ministry that all revenue should be done through GPPC. But when he came to my office, I asked him to bring that ministerial directive, just like everything else. When you want to find a document that BAC owns, ask Jonga, you will never find it. And he's the custodian of all records of BAC. We had an issue with Tambana. He said Tambana is, because Tambana, he said, council owns Tambana. And Mundala said, no, it's not owned by Tambana. Tambana is owned by the county of Mundala. We gave it to you for you to run there. Jonga said, no. In fact, we had our own site. We had the mapping of it. I said, go and get me the map. That became history. He still cannot find it. Because he cannot find any document. In the last council sitting, our own substation office in Brussels, where we had entered into a contract. So this thing, he's accusing us of entering into a verbal contract. He had a contract, a tenancy agreement with the landlord of that substation. And we asked him on the 10th of this month, or last month, October, to provide us with a copy of that, of the detail, because some committee members, when they found that there are arrears owed to the owners of that office, he said he's not aware of it. But you're supposed to know everything. You're the CEO of the council. You're supposed to know everything. He said he's not aware. He's been asked to find out. He said the head of the substation was on leave. He couldn't find out. He was waiting on that person to come for him and that person to go to the landlord in order to retrieve the contract that they entered with the landlord. I mean, what kind of CEO is that? You don't even have your tenancy agreement. You don't have your leasehold agreement with private enterprise or private property owners. And you're being told you are owing, you don't even know what rent you're supposed to be paying. But that is the sad situation we find. That's why we said this man is completely incompetent. So we'll be sending a ticket. He went to GPPC, he said it was going to cost us 500,000 plus to print the ticket. And then the IT department says, these tickets are very simple. We could do them here without incurring that much cost. And this is a new venture we are entering into. We don't know whether we are going to get any money or people are going to rebel against us or anything of that sort. Do you take such a risk? We told them, no, we will go with the chief again. Because if it can be printed here, we will go with that. He said, no, revenue has to be printed by GPPC. We said, bring the law. If the law said it has to be printed by them, we'll go and print with them. He brought a preamble which says, if you cannot do it internally, you can go to GPPC, but don't go to anyone else. That's what that letter said, that preamble said. If council cannot print anything, it has to go to GPPC, not to any other third party. I said, yes, that is loud and clear. But this one we can print internally. Why should we go there now? And he himself said, yes, now we can go ahead. But you know what he did? Instead of adhering to what we said, he went and printed at GPPC. So he printed, the order we told him not to do so, he went and printed it and he could not pay. That led to everything, all the problem we're having with the GPPC. Because he printed it, knowing fully well that he had no money for it. And up to date, we are owing them money to pay that. And those tickets are still lying there, we could not collect it because we don't have the money to pay it. And the consequences of that is that we ended up owing enough money to the point that GPPC said, and this is the point he went on, the revenue collection, and the other, on his reaction on Friday, he said the GPPC one was misrepresented because he said he paid 148. He was owing GPPC $1 million for $880-something thousand dollars. That's what he was owing at the time. He took 148,000 to them. And those people said, no, we are not giving you your ticket because you're owing us 880. You need to make a substantial payment, not 148. Instead of paying the more money that is required, he went on to give priority to maintenance or servicing of his vehicle. And I think people have heard what he said. He said because he had given priority to other things prior to that, and the fact that he was relying on friends to drop him from work and back to work, therefore he had to give priority to the servicing of his vehicle. But we told him prior to that, don't print those tickets there, we could print them at IT. And it's cheaper. If he had done that, we would not have gotten ourselves into that problem with GPPC of owing them that huge lot of money. But he didn't listen. He went and did that. So that is his point. Now he said it's a ministerial executive order. One of the things he failed to understand is that ministerial orders are not law. They are not law, they are just executive orders. If the minister wants to make it law, he will go to Parliament and pass it as a law, and then it applies to us. But if the minister doesn't say it, and then make executive orders and then tell us to do that, we will say no. We're not answerable to you in the first place. Our law said under Section 124 of the Local Government Act, it says we are answerable to our electorate, not to you. And that's what it says. We are answerable to our electorates and then the Parliament. It says, the law said we come to you when we have a budget with our emolument and salaries for you to approve, or when we need other help, we come to you, but we are not answerable to you. So you're going to sit there, make directives, and then you said it has to apply to us. The same thing he did with us when he came to traveling. He said there was a government travel ban. It applies to. We said no, that applies to you and your team. It doesn't apply to us. We are councillors. We are not. It doesn't. They don't tell us what to do. We run our own budget lines. So you see. So that explains that part. So Jonga mislead people on that front. That we went against the ministerial orders. He has still up to date, has not shown us that ministerial order, which says that we have to. And he went on to say, I think he said this was since 2018. How can ministerial order since 2018 be still applying to us? It just doesn't make any sense. But what the minister is saying and what the GPPC Act is even saying are different. That says if you can do internally, but if you cannot do internally, you have to give private to GPPC. So that is the baseless allegation. Then he went on to revenue collection. He said General Council passed a resolution empowering compliance officers to collect. And he went on to section 120. Again, he doesn't understand section 120 because section 120, this is what section 120 said. And we will read that. Or maybe because he's probably watching so that he understands what section 120 says. So section 120, subsection 1, says a council shall, in the case of an officer employed by it, whether under this or any other enactment, who by reason of his or her employment is likely to be entrusted with the custody or control of money, take such security for the faithful execution of his or her duty, and for his or her duly accounting of all money, property which may be entrusted to him or her as the council may consider sufficient. That's what it says with employees of council shall take those measures. But section 122 says when they are not employees, a council may, though it's very clear there, you may. When you hear these languages or words used in legal jargon, it gives discretion of the person. It gives them a discretion. So it's your discretion. If you want, you take it or take such measures. If you do not want, you do not. Because it says you may. You may do this or you may not do that. You know what I mean? But when it says you shall do it or you must do it, that is commanding you to do it. You don't have a discretion anymore. So it says when it is in case of our staff, we have to take those measures. But when it is not a staff, it's a discretion. You can do it or you don't do it. And you can understand why the lawgiver brought it in that way. Because when it is not yourself, you are depending on that person's help. And if you're depending on the person's help, you want to bring cumbersome burdens on that person. The person can say, you know what, I'm not doing it. Because you're not even your staff. I'm not providing you this and that. But you need that person's help. That is why that rule is accommodated. But in any event, people that we entrusted to collect, all sort of measures are in place to make sure they don't build back. Because A, we provide them security, B, we provide them, provide them with compliance officers, and they also are providing them money, and they don't collect more than 20,000, 30,000 without banking it in the bank. So, and then also these are people recommended by councillors. So there's all sort of reason to trust them. But if needs be, you always learn. If needs be, 1, 2, 3, we could secure other things from them as collateral. The response of this country is no, we are not in breach of 120, because 120 says it is our discretion. Yeah? So, to change the current signatories to our council account. He doesn't understand. This council, the accounts to this council are not in Modi Deng's name or Modi Jonga's name. All the accounts are in the name of Brikama Area Council. The law said the council is made up of the chairman, the council, Jay, signatory to our account. We remove it, we put someone else there. If we do not trust Jonga to be a signatory, we remove him and put someone there. That is our discretion. That is council. The funds are in our account. So when the council made a resolution that they want Jonga out. They are very serious about that. They took the decision that they don't want him to be signing their documents anymore. And that's exactly what we communicated to the bank. We told the bank, here is the general council resolution. Here are the councillors who signed it. They said they do not want Jonga as their CEO. And as such, he shouldn't be signing their bank statements and whatever. That's what we communicated. He said we acted unlawfully. I don't know under what law have we acted or we contravened that. But this is the false narrative that Jonga wants to depict out there. So we go on to the next part where he said, this is his response to jar oil loan. So he said that they took the loan of 2.5 million at jar oil to pay salaries for November 2022. That's what he said. So two things he is admitting here. A, council salaries are not more than 2.5 million. That becomes clear. And this is relevant, and I will get to that, why that is relevant here. So, secondly, he took the loan without council resolution, without council being aware, without the blessing of the council. He made that decision on his own. Secondly, he accused us at the beginning. He said we were in breach of section 13(1) and 504 of the financial manual because he said we paid 148 million, which is not budgeted. That's what he said. He said we paid that to 49 compliance officers, and that was in contravention of section 13(1) of the Finance and Audit Act of Local Government. But he is now admitting here that was budgeted. In his budget, when he was doing for 2022, did he say, I put 2.5 million as a loan I will be taking from Java when I don't have a salary? It's not. So he's admitting to the very offense he is accusing us of doing. That is his own admission here. He said, I took that money because it was a loan. But you did not budget it. It was not part of your 2022 budget. So you acted in contravention of section 13, that which you they said if you live in a glass house, you don't throw stones. He was throwing aspersions at us of the very thing that he is now admitted to have committed. He took 2.5 million, but not only that. He also went on, said CEO Jonga said, I can confirm that the sum of 33 million has been received for the period of July 2019 to December 2022. And I have formally acknowledged receipt of these payments into our accounts as a demonstration of transparency and accountability. This one is really, really funny. Because the councillors are here. And then if I go through the council minutes here, from the 22nd, we have been demanding the CEO to tell us what has happened to our geology funds. And Honorable Chara is here. And I think Chara will elaborate on that. Because Honorable Chara went to the CEO several occasions to say to him, look, are these geology funds there or not? He said they're there. In his own encounter with us, the council on the 27th of July, this is council minutes, our sitting minutes. He said, considering the time this particular issue, geology, he says update on geology and royalty fund. Considering the time this particular issue consumes and clouds surrounding the fund, his office will formally engage the Department of Geology to provide them with information on how much money was paid as royalty to BAC and to which account these payments were made. Honorable Chairman stated. He urged the CEO to give a clear update on the funds as to the availability of the funds and to which account those funds were being kept. Honorable Chairman emphatically emphasized that this fund cannot go into the thin air, as the council is really ready to reach the climax to unearth the whole truth surrounding these funds. It went on, it says, CEO stated that $7 million of the fund was kept in the Eco Bank and $2 million is at the Access Bank. However, the amount at Eco Bank was used as collateral to enable to attain to operational expenditure of the council. and a certificate to that was obtained, he reported. At the moment, fund at Ecobank can only pay forwards, while the rest will be paid from the Access Bank account. He concluded urging members to grant approval for disbursement of the fund to beneficiaries, as he already processed the RPGs forms through which all payments shall be effected, he said. Honorable Chairman concluded the CEO's explanation of the fund was insufficient and further request CEO to provide evidence to substantiate his submission. Members expressed their disappointment for CEO's failure to disburse the fund on the stipulated date as resolution, and many concluded that the fund was not available contrary to his report. Councillor Bojang proposed for sending both CEO and Director of Finance to the administrative leave by council resolution and to continue investigating the issues surrounding the fund. His proposal was supported by members, however, upon CEO's plea before members to grant him approval for disbursal. Honorable Chairman prevailed on members to accord him the last opportunity for the benefit of the doubt. So, this was what was happening, but the CEO said he has been accounting this to us. But you see the lie that he also made, the false narrative he also gave was that he said the CEO said, transparency and accountability. That never exists anyway. He went on to say, over the period, the sum of 11,868,435.97 had been disbursed to Kafuga, Devoro, Pira, Kemude, and then Bullock and Simon, each receiving a sum of 1,014,285 in July 2023. This wasn't even July 2023, it was in August. But even that he cannot tell the truth. You know, it was in August 8 to be precise, that's when the payments were made. August 8. But not only that, he said in addition, Donga added that in 2021 the sum of 3.8 million was paid. So when you add the 11 plus the 3.8, you get something like 15 million. This is the biggest false, misleading statement anybody could have made. 2021, Jonga paid 3.8 million, that's it. 2023, he paid only 9 million. You add that together, you get 11 point something. It's not like he paid 11 point something and then 3 point something. That is just not true. All he paid up to now is 11,868,405. Jonga never told us that he received 33 million from the ministry. He never told us that. In fact, if anything he has been telling us is that he only received 21 million. 21 million. That's all he said he had received all these years. And that is what this country has been led to believe all these years. But you see, when the ministry's letter came, what the ministry told us was this. In 2020, on the 20th of May 2020, they paid Brikama Area Control 7.8 million. These security funds are not revenue. They are not council revenue to start with. They are funds that are given to council to reparate, to compensate wards that are affected by mining. The councillor for block ward will tell you of an incident where use of block were going to stop the vehicles from mining there, from collecting gravel there, simply because they said they are not getting anything back. And that despite all the pollution and everything, that environmental degradation that was doing to their river, that's what this money was supposed to go back to and compensate those people, so that they can utilize that money into some other things in the region for development and ameliorate and mitigate the damage that is caused by mining in their region. This money came 7.8 million in 2020. Jonga didn't pay a dime to these people. He kept the whole money here. What happened to that money? He's been telling us that that money was in the account. He said specifically The money was in an 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏 account. That's what he told us. It was in an investment in 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏. 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏 on its trade account. On the 21st of January, Ministry paid 4.7 million in jewelry to BAC. On the 12th of October, they paid 1.3 million. On the 26th of October, these are all 2021, they paid another 4.16 million. When you add it together, 10 million was paid by the 27th of October 2021. By the 26th of October 2021, 10 million was paid. In addition to 7.8 million that was paid in 2020. When you add it together, 18 million was received by that date. And all that Donga did, by his own admission, he paid only 3.8 in 2021. Only 3.8 million was what he paid. Why did he pay 3.8 million when he was in receipt of 18 million? And that money was not cancelled money, but it was for the wards that are affected by mining. Why didn't he give it to those wards? But he sat on that money here. 2022, Geology given 13 million. In addition to that money, now Donga, from this newspaper interview, he said he spent 21,506,734.95 was spent on the implementation of 4 important access roads within Brikama. Brikama wasn't even part of the communities or wards that are supposed to benefit from this. Brikama wasn't even part of it. Who did Donga get the blessing or authority from to spend that money? And also, these monies were never even budgeted. They were not part of his budget line. And he never told us this country. He said transparency and accountability. My colleagues are here. Maybe he told them when I was in my absence. But I never remember, just like Kelly Thomas, that he spent 21 million of the geology fund on the road access here. It was never supposed to be spent. That those roads, the road roads were all budgeted. So that means for the last 4 years, he has never spent a penny of its own or a booklet of its revenue on any development work here. In fact, what they did is they spent the geology money to develop the access roads, the little work that they keep saying they've done it was better. So, I mean, I don't know where to even start because the lies are that so much that it is incredible for anyone to believe. How can the CEO, who is saying that people should not spend beyond their budget, took money that is coming from geology, which is not even part of his budget? Because as you see, geology, the money was going is unpredictable. It is determined by their side. But what is it? Geology said 3 million of that money was said I spent it on road construction. but you know what is even funny? You know what is even funny? The road constructions happened in 2020, 2021. The geology, the big chunk of it came in 2022. 13 million plus came in 2022. To be precise, it came in some part of it was paid in June this year, 2023. And then, but he wants us to believe that he spent all of that in the road construction. He said 21 million of that because he already disbursed 13 plus 11 plus 3. That makes it 15. And then the remaining 21 million was spent on road construction in Brikama. But half of that payment, according to geology, according to the Ministry of Government, the last payment was made on the 12th of June, 2023. And the other one was October 2017, October 2022, and 27th October 2022. So the question is, how was he able to spend that which was paid in June 2023 in 2021? He reversed the clock. But that tells you what we're dealing with. We're dealing with it. In fact, the letter was sent to me, but he decided to withhold on the letter until geology had to provide me a copy before we get our own copy. And the letter, funny enough, was addressed to the chairman, G. geology only were CC'd into that letter. But they got there on the 25th, while I got mine on the 31st. When he knew that we already got this from geology. So this is the sort of person we are dealing with. So the other one, before my presentation finished, he said, withdrawals in 2023, he said, Donga said, only the sum of 8.9 million, 8,902,272.44 was withdrawn for the period of January to June 2023, and not over 50 million as claimed in the resolution. I think this one, he probably must have been drunk. He couldn't have been with his full conscience to make such a claim. Maybe standard misquoted him to tell the truth. I would want to believe that. Because I have a copy of our 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏 here. I think your cameras can zoom in and even take a picture of it. 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏, the bank gives you the full summary at the top here. If you look at the summary, it says our opening balance was minus 5.5 million. Our closing balance was minus 6.3 million as at 30th of June. So from January, 1st of January 2023 to 30th of June 2023, it says the total amount that came in, total deposit that was entered into our account was $16,849,317 came into that account alone. And it says within that period, total withdrawal was $61,687,150.37 bushels. If Donga tells you that only 8 million is withdrawn in our account, what is he referring to as 8 million? Because this is just the 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏. And by the way, we have 11 accounts. So if 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏 withdrawal is 16 million, this 8 million that he's talking about, where is that referred? Which bank is he referring to? Because I have brought only 2 bank accounts, and that is 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏, and then the other bank is Guarantee Trust Bank. Vista, I didn't even print that one out, because the reason why I did not print that one out, because it's difficult for me to do the calculation on those ones. But these other 2, I brought them because they give you a tally at the bottom of it. 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏, it gives you at the top, and then GT Bank, this is the GT Bank. So GT Bank, if you look at the bank statement, it goes down at the bottom. It will tell you how much money was credited, the total that is credited on one page. Each page will give you, and then you get the final at the bottom of it. So when you go as at the 30th of June, it says the total amount that is credited in that account was $8,533,082.32, and the total withdrawal was $8,364,601. Maybe this is the one he's referring to. Because that 8 million now plus the withdrawals that are made in this account, you realize that almost 61 million is withdrawn here, 686 plus 8 million something. You get almost 70 million is withdrawn between those 2 accounts alone. Other accounts we have not even calculated. So if he says only 8,900,000 and something, that is just not true. And the accounts are here. And this is clearly, it says statement period. If you look at the statement period, it says from the 1st of January 2023 to 30th of June 2023, 60 million is withdrawn in the 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏 account. And this other account, 8 million is withdrawn. Add them together, you get almost 70 million. So he blatantly wants to say, in fact, what he failed to understand is we were not talking about the amount that is withdrawn. Because when we put all the accounts together, you would find that Vista, Access, and then Zenith, and then you talk about the Trust Bank. It's a lot of money. It's over 100 million plus that was withdrawn. What we are talking about, the 50 million, is the withdrawals that have not been justified. It means these are withdrawals that were not backed by vouchers. They were not backed by any explanation as to what those payments were for. So you just see it there like, this is withdrawn, this amount is withdrawn, and you don't know what that withdrawal was for. That is what they're saying. Because remember I said to you what Donga said about the jar oil money. He said we took 2.5 million for our salaries. Salaries are 2.5 million, indeed. If you're spending 2.5 million on salaries, just think about it. You made a withdrawal of almost 70 million in two accounts between January to June. That suddenly cannot be about salary. Because 2.5 by 6, that is 15 million. That you are meant to spend only 15 million on salary. You could not have spent 15 out of almost 70. You're talking about 55 million now disappearing in thin air. What have you spent it on now? What have you spent it on? That is the question. That's what we've been telling him. And he could not bring that evidence. And all he's doing is trying to distract the public. Trying to tell the public that actually they did this, they did that, they did this, which is in contravention. But he is spending money that which is not budgeted. Who is guilty of that offense than 𝒂𝒂𝒏 himself? So the last but not least, he said about the appointment of, he said 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒍 and 𝒂𝒏𝒏. This is the Jeng clan. He said these people were respectively appointed by the Service Commission in 2012 and 2014, and not me. For his information, I bet he is watching. Service Commission stopped or ended in 2012. How were they able to appoint in 2014? You see what I'm saying? If they ceased to exist in 2012, how were they able to appoint in 2014? But those ones, people will initiate their roadmap because, in fact, most of them, the offer of the appointment is given by Donga. The appointment letters are all authorized by one man, Donga. Appointments in the council are usually done by Establishment and Appointment Committee of Council. CEO only implements when those people say, we are taking so and so person for a job. And that is to a certain grade. Beyond that, the appointment is done by Service Commission and it comes and he is effective. But in here, the CEO has been the one individual who's been appointing a whole family into council. Even appointing bus workers, people who have just been appointed and they are not working for us. That is what has been happening. But he is confronted with that truth. He finds it difficult to handle it. He tries to mislead and fool everybody. But let me make this clear to him. The days of fooling people is over. Evidence is here. And this council, whenever